Okay, hi once again everyone. As we finish up chapter 2 here, we're starting off on page 25. We should probably finish chapter 2 with this video. We're talking about misleading graphs right now, and one of the things that's really bad as far as figuring out what to do things is what's called vague research questions. You got to be careful when you ask your questions. If you don't ask the questions the correct way, then you might not answer what you're trying to answer. So for example, here in example 27, let's say we have the question, are private four-year schools better than public four-year schools? Now this case study question comes from page 60 of your textbook, and I found it interesting because it's a very problematic question. First thing that occurs to me is, what does better mean? So, you need to get much more pinpointed when you're going to ask research questions. So suppose we decide to say that student to teacher ratio, a better student to teacher ratio will give us an answer to whether the school is better than another school or not. So what kind of data is that? First of all, it's numerical. And then here's some histograms from the 2010 to 2011 school year for 89 private colleges and 49 public colleges. So looking at these two, let's try to make some comparisons. So what is the typical student to teacher ratio for each data set? Again, you're looking for the balance point. We have numerical data, so we're looking at histograms. So the balance point here looks like for private schools, we're somewhere between 15 and 20. I put these closed parentheses or closed bracket to indicate, I want you to remember when you're looking at a histogram, the initial value on the left side of the histogram is in that bin, but the right value is in the next bin. So it's 15 to 20, not including 20. And for public schools, it looks like the balance point is somewhere between 20 and 25, including 20 but not 25. Now, which appears to have less spread and why? When I was looking at this, I said, well, kind of similar spreads. Maybe a little less spread for the public schools here. There is less in the 0 to 5 range. There's none in the 40 to 45 range like the private schools have. So I would say maybe a little less spread for public schools. They both look like they're definitely a little right skewed. So can we answer the question, which one's better based on student to teacher ratio? And I hope you would agree that no. You might see that private schools are somewhere between 15 and 20 per class, where public schools are 20 to 25. It seems like a little more, but in general, it doesn't seem like we can answer it based on student to teacher ratio. All right, quick chapter 2, quick knowledge check. I like to do this at the end of most chapters just to kind of make sure the high points are highlighted and making sure you can answer some basic questions from it. So the following dot plot shows the number of siblings for a sample of 29 statistics students. So we have a sample size of 29. What percent of students had more than 3 siblings? I want you to be careful when you start reading these questions. More than means we do not include 3. So there's only 1 and 2. So 4 and 6, there's only 1 and 2. So 2 out of 29 gives us the ratio of students that have more than 3 siblings. I have to multiply that by 100% to give me 6.9% have more than 3 siblings. And we have a histogram here for some numerical data showing the distribution of monthly rents for a sample of studio apartments in 2 different cities. So first question here is, what is the shape of the distribution of rents in city B? And hopefully everyone agree that we have a little bit of a right skewed data set here. Which city has a higher typical rent for a studio apartment? So the higher typical, where's the balance point? Looks like the balance point is in here for A, somewhere between 2,000 and 2,200. Balance point is somewhere between 1,000 and 1,200 for B. So certainly city A has a higher typical rent. That's the center. Data was collected on the ages of students at a community college. What shape would you expect the distribution of ages to have? So I hope you would agree that most students at community college, probably somewhere between 18 and 20 years old. But you're going to have some older students. So more younger people, fewer older people. So the fewer older people skew the data to the right. There's a few people out here who are older, right skewed. Which of the following is a graph that can be used to display categorical data? So categorical, that's not a histogram, that's for numerical. Dot plot is for numerical. Bar graph is for categorical, that's true, so it's certainly not all of these. Which of the following graphs cannot, make sure again when you read these that you read can or cannot clearly. Which of the following graphs cannot be used to summarize numerical data? So a pie chart, that's not for numerical, that's for categorical. Dot plot is for numerical. Histogram is for numerical, so certainly pie charts are our only choice. Cannot summarize numerical data. Which of the following are used to describe the distribution of categorical data? So remember, categorical data, we use mode, which is the most, and variability, which is diversity. So in this case, it's just the mode. That is the end of chapter 2.